special food we get. I bought my first batch of eggnog this week, and so love to only get it this time of year. And full disclosure, I've been playing Christmas music since about Halloween. My wife is a traditionalist, so she wouldn't play it until Friday, but we're playing it now. Lots of traditions around that. And I loved when our children were young, when one of them was in elementary school, they were asked to write their favorite part of Christmas, and one of our children wrote, "When we put up the manger scene." That does the preacher's heart good, when you hear that. But Christmas is full of traditions. That's what makes the season exciting, the tradition. For instance, the word Christmas comes from the Old English meaning the Mass of Christ. Christ Mass, Christ service. And the story of Christmas begins with a babe in a little town called Bethlehem. But how about that other man associated with Christmas? Old Santa Claus. Well, he begins in the 4th century with St. Nicholas, the Bishop of Myra. That's in present-day Turkey. And by all accounts, Nicholas was a very generous man, and particularly devoted to children. He was the patron saint of Russia and was known for his red cape and flowing white beard and his bishop's mitre hat. But after the Reformation, European followers of St. Nicholas dwindled, but the legend was kept alive in Holland, where his name was Sint Nicholas, S-I-N-T-N-I-K-O-L-A-A-S, eventually transformed into Santa Claus. Pretty close. And Dutch children would leave their wooden shoes by the fireplace, and Santa Claus would come around and, for the good children, put treats in their wooden shoes. And so when the Dutch colonists came to America in the 17th century, or earlier than that, but they brought that tradition with them. And in the 17th century, the Anglican name Santa Claus emerged. But it wasn't until 1822 that Clement C. Moore composed a poem as a gift to his children. He titled it A Visit from St. Nicholas, but it was published as The Night Before Christmas. And he portrays Santa Claus this way. He had a broad face and a little round belly that shook when he laughed like a bowl full of jelly. He was a chubby and plump, a right jolly old elf, and I laughed when I saw him in spite of myself. A wink of his eye and a twist of his head soon gave me to know I had nothing to dread. In the 16th century Germany, the fir tree was decorated both indoors and outdoors with apples and roses and gilded candies and colored paper in celebration of Christmas. And it was widely held that the reformer Martin Luther was the first one to put lights on trees. According to a legend, a kindly nobleman grew despondent over the death of his beloved wife, and he foolishly squandered his riches, which meant his 3 young daughters would have nothing in which to pay a dowry, which meant they would spend their life single and that day. And so the generous St. Nicholas, hearing the girl's plight, wanted to help. And so he wanted to stay anonymous, but he rode his white horse to the nobleman's house and threw bags of gold down the chimney. And as the legend says, the stockings that the girls had hung to dry caught the gold just enough to pay the dowry. There are just a few of the many Christmas traditions. But this morning I want to ask us, ourselves, is that really the beginning of the Christmas story when Jesus was born in Bethlehem? Well, you might be suspicioning that I will suggest to you this morning that is not the beginning. To get the true foundation of Christmas, we've got to go back to the beginning of the Bible and see the first chapters and what it says about why my Savior came to earth. Now, God is an eternal God. That is, He's the God who has always been. He's the God who will always be. And He is the God who is God right now. And so in His dwelling, He had wonderful fellowship. A lot of people have a misunderstanding that God made us so He'd have fellowship. He didn't need our fellowship because He is Elohim. He is the triune. He is a multiple God. He's one God, 3 personality. He's God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit. They had great fellowship. They need our fellowship. But he had a special purpose for us. He made something unique and very purposeful, a family that would love him and worship him. That's why he made us. When God created us, he created us for his glory. To bring him glory, to bring him honor. And so you were created for worship. And if you are not a worshiper of God, you are out of order of what he intended. But eventually God took dirt and became the master artist, a sculptor, and fashioned into what we know as man, from the dust of the ground. Don't treat me like dirt, although that's just what I am, as the song says. But that being was lifeless until God took his very breath and breathed life into him, and Adam became a living being. And that's what it means, Adam. In a perfect place, Eden, everything was supplied. But even with everything supplied, Adam was a lonely man. All the animals came to him to be named. Could you imagine that? What would you have named the hippopotamus? But whoever names something, that's the master, right? You name your dog, you're the master of the dog. So man is master of the animal kingdom, not the other way around, as the animal activists like to tell us. But humans are over the animals. But the master carver became the master surgeon and took a piece of Adam and brought about a woman, meaning from man. And when Adam saw Eve, he wasn't lonely any longer. Everything was perfect, with one small problem. They could have everything in the garden, but one tree in the middle of the garden that they weren't allowed to eat the fruit of it. And so, that was the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Now that wasn't the problem, that there was a tree like that they couldn't eat of in the middle of the garden. The problem was there was an enemy in the garden. That enemy, the serpent, who's called the devil, and Satan, he was in the garden. And he always wants to hurt God. And so to hurt God, he started to attack his creation. And went to Eve and sweet-talked her. And started to plant some doubt in her mind. Did God really say? And so Eve actually added to God's word. Oh, we can't not only eat it, we can't even touch it. Did God say we can't touch it? No. He said you can't eat it. But Eve looked at the fruit, reached for it, pulled it, bit it, and then her boy came around, Adam, and Eve seduced him to take a bite. And Adam ate. Then they realized something. They realized for the first time that they were naked. Why is that? They were innocent and they had no concern for that. But they disobeyed God. And they realized the nakedness. And so they found something to cover themselves, which was insufficient at best. But not only that, the peace and enjoyment that they had in the garden was now replaced by the fear of God. Sad. So God takes a walk and he calls for Adam. And Adam says, I heard you, so I hid myself because I was naked. And God says, what did you do? the first blame shifter went into action. The woman he gave me. She did. And the woman was no better. It was a serpent. But God had enough. Cast from the garden, and now man would have to work with great difficulty and obstacles for the things that he had in the garden. And the woman who was equipped to give birth would not have a smooth, easy birth. It would be painful. But perhaps the most severe judgment was reserved for the serpent. In Genesis chapter 3, verses 14 to 15, the Lord said to the serpent, that's Satan, that's the devil, because you've done this, cursed are you more than all cattle and more than every beast of the field. On your belly you will go, and dust you will eat all the days of your life. And I will put enmity, that's hatred, between you and the woman, and between your seed and her seed. Do you realize this is a messianic prophecy? Clear back to Genesis 3. This is about the baby in Bethlehem. He shall bruise. I prefer the translation, crush your head, and you shall bruise him on the heel. In other words, you're going to give him a minor injury, but he will give you a death blow. You know where that happened? On the cross. Satan gave him a slight injury by crucifying him, but when he erupted from that tomb, he put a death blow on Satan. Satan will never recover from that. Now, tradition says they made it 40 days in the garden. But that gives us a great principle that God's people never remained faithful for very long. And they didn't. And it's certainly the case through the Old Testament. Time after time, the people would leave Yahweh to go after other so-called gods and rebel against God and leave God's purity and God's presence. But God always made a way for them to come back. You ever notice that? They always had an opportunity to come back to him. And those little coverings that they had, well, God knew it wasn't going to cut it, so he replaced it with a full covering coat. Made from what? Skin. So somewhere, God took an innocent animal and butchered it and took its coat to make a coat for Adam and Eve. So very early on, God was impressing on them that sin costs. And it costs innocent life. But the situation in the Old Testament was so bad that God overturned them, or turned it over to what they wanted. What they want. Life without God. And so, for the next, after the Old Testament, 400 years passed before God would talk to his people again. We call that the intertestamental period. 400 years. From the end of Malachi to the beginning of Matthew, 400 years. God didn't say a word to them. So it's no wonder that the New Testament opens with these great words in Matthew 4. The people who were sitting in darkness saw a great light, and those who were sitting in the land of the shadow of death, upon them a light has dawned. So what brought humanity out of the depths of darkness into light? That baby who was born in Bethlehem. Jesus, the Messiah. Now, why is his birth light? Well, the most important issue in anyone's life is being right with your Creator. And if you're obeying anyone over God, you're heading for trouble. You may already be in trouble. And being away from God leaves you in darkness because he is light. And so you're in darkness. And once you do that, which we all have, we need help getting back. And so like Adam and Eve, what do? We try to cover ourselves because spiritually we're naked. And so we try to do this good work and that good work and this other good work. Give me a covering. And God sees a little fig leaf. Doesn't cut it. don't care how many good works you do, you cannot ever, ever earn your way back into God's life. You can't do it. It's impossible. But Jesus said, I am the light of the world. And so he and he alone can bring you into the light of God. That's what grace is about. You can't do a thing. It's all what Jesus did. So we celebrate Christmas, not simply because a baby was born. We celebrate Christmas because we were in sorry shape, spiritually, away from God. And that's a problem that humanity has had since about 40 days into this thing. With no hope of getting out. And then God sent us help in Jesus Christ at Christmas. And He will do something for you that you will never be able to do for yourself. He will save you. Why did my Savior come to earth? To the humble go. Why did he choose a lowly birth? Because he loved me so. Why did he drink the bitter cup of sorrow, pain, and woe? Why on the cross be lifted up? Because he loves me so. Oh, till Jesus comes, I'll sing his praise. And then to glory go, and reign with him through endless days.